Backus. I just want to do a brief introduction, students. Gary Backus is a principal and the Chief Creative and Strategy Officer at Archer Malmo, and they have offices here and in Austin, Texas. He leads the brand strategy team, and he is consistently in pursuit of the aha moment when insight dots line up and a brand strategy reveals itself. So you creative students out there, I know, will understand that feeling. I also wanted to mention, and this is on their website, but Gary plays in a band. I like to mention this because I think this is a great example of how life, your personal life can overlap with your professional skills and passions. And what I mean by that is that being in a band requires pulling together individuals' talents into a cohesive group. So everyone hopefully is playing off the same page and the same song. I personally am proud to say that Gary is a graduate of Memphis College of Art, which is where I'm from, and has served on our board. So we appreciate that. He has been at Archer Malmo for over 20 years. And so I just say, welcome, Gary. Thank you. And I will let you share with us your presentation.
Great. Thanks, Carrie. First, to echo some of your comments, I'll first add that, a lot of people at the agency have things they do on the side, like music and other creative pursuits. So I think it's just the nature of working in a creative company where, it just attracts creative people. Even if your job's in media or account service, we've got tons of people who do all sorts of things. So it's just a great environment to work in. All right, so as Carrie said, we're Archer Malmo. We do advertising, marketing, design, web work, digital, all sorts of things, based in Memphis, Tennessee. All right, one sec. So here's how we describe ourselves. We're an independent creative agency that combines brand thinking, data, and technology to drive short-term results and long-term growth for progressive companies who are our clients. So a couple of key things here. Independent, what that means in our business is that we are owned by the management of the company. We don't have outside shareholders. We're not publicly traded, not publicly held. We don't answer to anyone but ourselves, which is great when you're in a creative industry, because you can do things the way you want to do them. And that's what we do. And also we're creative. There are lots of different kinds of agencies, media agencies, digital only agencies, PR, et cetera. We consider ourselves fundamentally a creative agency, although we have a lot of other things too. And then in terms of brand thinking, data, and technology, that's sort of the core of what a lot of agencies these days are doing. Obviously, technology plays a role in everything that we do. And then we make a lot of decisions, even creative decisions sometimes based on data. That may sound scary to some creative folks, but it's really not this day and age. It's really critical. And then we try to put everything through the lens of how we think about brands. That's what we're trying to help our clients do, is not just sell stuff, but build strong brands that can last a long time. And then some of the industries that our clients are in, we have a wide variety of clients. Some agencies specialize in certain things like healthcare or tourism or things like that, but we have a wide variety of clients, consumer goods, hospitality, franchise, retail, pet products, agriculture, lots of different things. And that makes it fun too. That's part of what makes an agency fun. You work for a company and you're working on that company's business all the time. I get to work on 10 to 20 different things all the time. So there's a lot of variety, which makes it really fun. And we've defined our company purpose as be greater than. And what we mean by that is we think there's always an opportunity to progress in what you're doing, whether it's the kinds of work we do for our clients, or it's how we run the agency, or even on an individual or personal level, being better than you were yesterday, getting better at what you do, learning new things. We think that curiosity is incredibly important, and that certainly plays a role in getting better every day. And we think that's what we're here to do, and we try to help everybody do that. We've got training programs, and we do a lot of things together as a group to try and get better all the time. As Carrie said, we do have two offices. Our headquarters is in Memphis. So we have 127 people there. And then we opened an office in downtown Austin about 4 years ago now. And it's a little smaller. We've got 24 people there, but that's a really great environment down there. There's a lot of creativity and technology happening there. And two music towns, by the way, I'll mention. And we've also been recognized by Ad Age and other national outlets as one of the best places to work in advertising. So we put a lot of emphasis on building a strong culture. You know, we spend money on it, we spend time on it, we have people that spend time thinking about that. Again, that's important in any industry, but I think in a creative industry, it's even more vital to have a really strong collaborative culture where people get along. And, you know, if you're going to be thinking up ideas, the last thing you need is, you know, politics and people worrying about other things. So we just try to make the right environment for everybody to be as creative as they can. And then a little closer to today's subject, these are some of the roles and titles and departments that exist in our agency. Other agencies do things different ways. There's no right way to do any of this, but we're sort of broken up into these groups. The three largest being account service, digital and media, and creative. So I'll go through each of those a little bit. Digital and media, as you might imagine, is grown to be our largest group, and that includes people that work on traditional and digital media, paid media. It also includes digital strategy, planning. It also includes our social media group, and it also includes our programming, coding, development group. We do front end and back end, and we do all of our development in our digital development in-house. We don't send anything overseas or out. We do everything in-house, which we think is important to delivering the best product. A lot of people like to outsource that stuff. A lot of agencies, not so much true now, but several years ago, a lot of agencies had failed to build really strong digital departments, but of course now it's kind of the center of everything. So there's a lot of different job types in digital and media. And that group, along with the creative group, are the two groups responsible for basically creating all the work that we do. The creative department consists of copywriters, art directors, and designers, which handle the visual side of things. And then you'll see up there related to that, we've got several people in video production. And we do a lot of video. Video, of course, is huge now everywhere. But we can do everything from, you know, a quick social media video to a, you know, national broadcast commercial in-house. We've got a large studio with a green screen. We can do audio. We can do animation, motion graphics, full editing, everything. So that's really fun. And then also the brand strategy group, which is another one of my responsibilities. And that's where we develop strategies for brands that then get executed by the creative and digital group. And then on the left, we've got account service. That's the group that handles the client relationship, budgets, timelines, that sort of thing. And, you know, dealing with the client, handling meetings, presentations along with other people, that sort of thing. And then we've also got a PR group, public relations, and they work on a wide variety of things. And of course, a lot of that overlaps with creative and digital. If they have ideas that they want to execute for their strategies that require some kind of creative execution, we'll work with them on that. And then the rest of the group is our own internal operations, which is like accounting and that sort of thing. So that's kind of what our agency looks like. I guess I'd like to see, does anybody have any questions about what we do, or any questions about how agencies work, or what any of these job titles might be, or anything you can do to get started?
Well, I'm surprised that we don't. Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
Took them a minute.
All right. All right, I'm not able to see the Q&A for some reason.
On the bottom of your screen.
No, I can see there's two things there, but I'm not getting
So
anything.
the first question is,
Sure.
could you go into more detail about brand strategy?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I got into that after working in creative for a very long time. And to me, it's interesting because what brand strategy tries to do is to understand sort of the intersection of what consumers are thinking or users, and what the company is trying to do, what they're trying to make their brand be about or represent. And then also what's going on in the marketplace with competition, or even with the culture at large. So we take all of these factors for, any given sort of situation, and we try to understand, what insights can we have about, what are consumers thinking, what are competitors doing, and we try to develop a strategy that's going to be effective to make the brand stronger. Sometimes that could result in, well, we need to do more paid advertising, or it might, another situation might be, well, we need to improve our reputation in some way, so let's look at some PR. Or it might be, what is our social media strategy going to be? It could be almost anything. And then actually brand strategy is kind of related more to creative and kind of the qualitative side of what we're doing, but we also work closely with more quantitative, more numbers and data-based insights from our digital and media group. And between the two, we put together a comprehensive plan that then will result in, whatever tactics we think we need to do. Like, well, we need to do more video on social, or we need to do, an advertising campaign, or we need to do, more on Facebook, or whatever it might be. So really it's about understanding what's going on with consumers and in the marketplace, and developing strategies to help use the client's budget to achieve their objectives. And I would say, this is a part of advertising that really kind of came a little bit more prominent about 30 years ago, where the idea of brand strategy became a discipline unto itself. And not all agencies have that role. A lot of times the strategy is just determined by the account service person, and maybe somebody from creative or media sort of putting their heads together. But the formal brand strategy role is really a lot about being super curious and understanding the world around you, and understanding what's happening with consumers, and, keeping your eye on culture and understanding how that fits with what your particular client's trying to do or what industry they're in. And then, helping guide everyone else to what the correct answer is. So it's really fun. It's really interesting. If you're curious and you have a sort of an interest in a lot of different things, it might be something that you can do. And creative people make great brand strategists just because they see the world in a different way. You've got to put the dots together in different ways, and not just see things, linearly. You got to look for what's underneath and try to find interesting connections between things, which is really what creativity is about: finding interesting connections between things and doing something with that. So, I was an art director for a long time, and then sort of found myself more interested in strategy because that's what drove what creative that you decided to do. So I always found it interesting to get to sort of drive the strategy behind it, as well as the idea itself. That answer the question? Anything further?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if you can see the questions yet, but the next
Oh, I
question
can't for some
is,
reason.
what does a typical workday look like? And I think for you, it's probably different than maybe entry level people.
Yeah.
I also know a lot about your culture just because I know a lot of people who work there. I know that there are dogs at work and things
Yeah.
like that. So maybe it's a cultural question. And so
Sure.
for some,
All right, you broke up a little bit there at the end, so I'm not sure if I'm interrupting you or not, but I think I understand the question. What's sort of maybe a daily, what does a day look like for an entry level or a young creative person, and also a little bit more about our culture? Yeah, the culture part is great. We do have sort of an open pet policy, not pet, dog. There's not a lot of cats around. But yeah, I mean, one of our floors has about 5 or 6 dogs every day. But I mean, that's, you know, some people find that sort of thing superficial, but, you know, like having a ping pong table or whatever, free sodas, we have all that stuff. I mean, all that's really just a backdrop to trying to create the right environment for people and they can be comfortable and have fun. And it's a pretty relaxed environment. I mean, the work can be intense sometimes for sure. And we've got deadlines and responsibilities and all that. So it's not all fun and games, but you know, part of creating the right environment is to, you know, to give people some flexibility, because, you know, you can't always be creative on cue. So, you know, as long as you get your work done and you contribute the way you're supposed to, there's a lot of flexibility in the job, at least the way we do it. And in terms of, you know, a regular day, you know, you might work on, you know, one project all day or something for a whole week, or you might work on 20 small things in a single day. You know, sometimes you have to jump back and forth between different things. You might be trying to come up with an idea for something. So you might spend an hour or two brainstorming with someone, then you have to, you know, go take care of some little tiny revision on something, you know, something that's critical that's got to be fixed really quickly. Or, you know, you might spend half a day, you know, working on executing something design wise, or, you know, writing a script, or, you know, whatever it might be. So, you know, and then a lot of time is spent in collaboration and kind of brainstorming meetings with other people, and not just other, say, art directors or designers, but somebody from media, an account service person, a PR person. You know, you might be developing, you know, a multi-discipline strategy or campaign. Or, you know, another big part of our business is pitching for new clients. And, you know, I won't go into that too deeply unless someone wants to know more about it. But, you know, where a client will say, hey, we've got, our account is up for review, as they call it, and they'll invite several agencies to come in and present. And that's always a big deal because it's an opportunity to win more business. And, you know, everybody's trying to outdo everybody else. So, you know, it's usually a very intense situation where you're trying to do your best, and it's kind of all hands on deck, and everybody's trying to, you know, develop a great presentation and then win the account. So the answer to the workday is, you know, a wide variety of things with a wide variety of other different people, and perhaps on a wide variety of clients, even in the same day. So lots of variety and flexibility.
Great. So the next two questions are about entry level roles.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Frederick asked specifically about IT. And then the
Mm-hmm.
other one was just a general, what do entry level positions look like at Archer Malmo?
I need to clarify. I mean, we have IT, but when we say IT, we just basically mean taking care of our computers and network. I might assume that you mean digital development, coding, that sort of thing. In terms of IT, I wouldn't say we have a whole lot. In fact, we outsource our IT, sort of, like I said, just the sort of computer maintenance and network maintenance part. But if you're talking about digital development, I mean, we do everything in-house. We have UI and UX, if you know what that is, user experience. We do all of that in-house. We do front-end development, HTML. We do back-end development in a wide variety of platforms. We've got people certified in, you know, multiple platforms, frameworks. We have lots of technology partners in a lot of different areas. We do a lot of email work that's very technology intense. So again, we're a little unusual in that we have all of that in-house, but it is a wide variety. In terms of entry level, you know, on the creative side, we have copywriters, art directors, and designers, and the entry level there is pretty straightforward. I mean, we do expect everyone to know, you know, all of the sort of basic prominent software programs that are out there. But other than that, I mean, as an entry level person, you probably spend a fair amount of time assisting other people, completing projects that are being worked on by a larger team. You know, sometimes you'll get something a little maybe smaller to work on by yourself. We try to give people opportunities, obviously, to do things like that. But basically, you'll be doing sort of the, in some cases, execution, helping other teams with execution, and in some cases doing your own stuff. But, and then that would be the same, say, for copywriters, art directors, and designers. And then say in the digital development side, an entry-level job might be just working under some other senior coders, you know, and doing sort of executing different parts of projects according to what they need, and be working with project managers to execute things. Um, and I guess that's it. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, so there's a couple of questions about, how your work has been impacted by COVID-19. And then I think I had said, I had a question about your crystal ball. What's your vision for, for the future of creatives, and what kind of advice do you have for new graduates trying to launch their careers in this, what feels like sort of a crazy work environment? So
yeah. Well, COVID-19, we've been a little bit lucky there in some respects, but also have felt some issues as well. I mean, the good part is that most of what we do, we're able to do from home and do basically over Zoom and that sort of thing. I mean, it's certainly not the same than being face to face, especially when you're trying to brainstorm something or work on a project collaboratively. Zoom is obviously not the best tool, but most of what we do, a lot of what we do is someone sitting in front of a computer and executing something. So all of that has been fairly smooth, although we're all ready to get back into the office. The downside has been certain of our clients, depending on what industry they're in, have gone completely dark. Like one of our clients, we do a lot of work for Hyatt hotels. We do social media and local marketing for individual properties in individual markets. And of course, hotels are shut down. So they basically pulled their budgets and said, we're just going to go on hold here until things are back to normal. So we've had a few clients like that who are in industries that are essentially shut down right now, who have said, we're just not going to spend any money. So we've seen some of our revenue go away temporarily. And like I said, everything else is kind of, business as usual. I was going to add something to that. Anyway, so it's been a little bit good, a little bit bad, I think, like anybody else. And then what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
Well, sort of your crystal ball for and just your advice for students coming out of college right now, trying to launch their careers. What advice do you have?
Yeah. There's no question it's going to be tough because, our business goes up and down with the economy. And while a lot of times we have clients that are, not recession proof, but they're still going to do what they're going to do, which is true a lot on the B2B side, the business to business advertising side, as opposed to the consumer side, which often suffers a little worse. So, there's no question that it's going to be tough for agencies, which means hiring probably will be, difficult for a while. But, it really depends. Looks like I said, if you've got a group of clients that are in industries that aren't particularly hard hit by this, then, that's business as usual. And, we are, have still been hiring some positions, lately, and I'm sure we'll have openings again in the future. But, in terms of how to deal with it, it's really tough. I mean, I guess the best thing you can do is, even if somebody's not hiring, just make contacts, ask for courtesy interviews. We do those, even if we're not hiring, we can look at your work and give you advice, that sort of thing. I would spend time, making contacts, trying to meet people, setting things up, even if it's over Zoom or whatever, or just trying to expand the number of contacts you have. So when hiring does sort of pick back up, hopefully you'll be in the mix, try to develop those relationships, and in the meantime, if you've got the time and you're stuck at home, work on your portfolio, work on your book, assign a project to yourself. Take a project that you had in your book that you weren't happy with or didn't get to spend enough time on and do it over, do it again in a different way. So, don't waste the time, obviously. Spend it trying to, improve your work. You know, you can learn new software skills. You can spend time in webinars. There's tons of free content out there. You know, be curious and try to learn as much as you can about other agencies and places you might want to go to work. And, you know, when the time comes, hopefully those contacts will be there for you.
Yeah. So you mentioned staying in touch. I think that we're all encouraging students to network. How would a student, we've just got another minute left, but how would a student go about contacting someone at Archer Malmo? Would you just recommend they go on your website, kind of see who's there, who's in their area, and just reach out to them?
Yeah,
With
we've got a job section on our site that has a link to our HR person or group, so you can contact them, and she's great. Her name is Tricia Swope, and it, you know, you could even mention, look, I know you might not be hiring, but I wanted to see if there was anybody, you know, in my area that I could maybe have a courtesy interview with, or just talk on the phone with, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We try to be accommodating.
That sounds great, and I know that your staff and everyone there has been wonderful with our students throughout the years. So I'm sure that they would have luck doing that. So thank you so much, Gary. Your content and your just what you've shared with us today has just been great. I really appreciate it. I know the students do too. And stay safe.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go into advertising. It's fun.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Have a great day.
Bye. You too.
All right. Thank you. Attendees, just hold on tight. We're going to let our next presenter come in from AmeriCorps, and we will start back live at 11 a.m. Hey, Kurt, can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Awesome. And Charlotte, can you hear me? If so, can you turn on your video and your audio?